We're here looking at Adobe SoundBooth CS4. It's a pretty nice and straightforward digital editing application. We're going to be creating our voiceover in SoundBooth today and then bringing in an interview we created with a Zoom H2, doing some editing, and then ultimately exporting everything as an MP3. So the first thing that we're going to need to do with SoundBooth is create a multitrack file that we can work with. So to do that, I'm just going to go to File on the menu bar, New, and then down to Multitrack File. And we can see here that it appears currently untitled over in this Files area on the left. We won't be able to give it a title until we've actually created something in the blank track area over here. So what we're going to do is go up to File, once again on the menu bar, and then down to Record so that we can create our actual chunk of sound that we're going to be working with. And now we should see our Record dialog box appear in the middle of the screen. If you're working in the radio lab or in almost any other setting where you're going to be recording into SoundBooth rather than just importing something you recorded somewhere else, the first thing you're going to want to do is change the input device. So what I'm going to do is click this drop down arrow and go down to and select my DigiDesign Mbox 2. And once I've done that, you'll notice that I get my gain bars, my levels right there over on the right hand side. As always, you want these to be going from green into yellow or green into amber depending on the application or if it's a mixer or whatever. So we're looking good right now. The key thing is to avoid peaking, avoid hitting this red right here. So we're looking good there. We don't have to worry too much about the sample rate. It's fine to just leave it as whatever the default setting is. Since we're doing just a voiceover, we can leave this as mono. And another thing that I want to take into consideration is the file name. We want to give it a name here so that we know what we're working with later. And then you'll also notice that when I go back later to do some more of my voiceovers, they'll be as you can see here, they'll have incrementing numbers. So I'm just going to change mine to Jeff's voiceover, and then I'm good to go. So when I'm ready to record, I can just hit the record button right here. And now I can say my introduction to the interview, whatever else I want to say, and carry on for a while. And when I'm done, I'll just go ahead and hit the stop button. And now we see something interesting kind of happening in the background. We actually see that chunk of sound I was talking about earlier. That's what's called the audio file. So to work with that, the first thing we're going to need to do is actually close out of the record dialog box. So now we have our audio file here, and we can make some changes to our waveforms, apply some effects, change the volume, and then do some other things. So the first thing I want to do is actually just listen to a little bit of it, so I can just put my playhead, this right here, wherever I want it to go. And then to play, I simply hit the space bar. And now I'm listening to myself, and that sounds good, except this little area right here I don't exactly need. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. So to do that, I'm just going to click and drag with my mouse on that area, and you can see it becomes highlighted like so. To get rid of it, I just right click in that area or control click and select delete. And there we go. And you can see it pushes the sound together, so it essentially just cuts it right out of there. Now let's say we wanted to actually raise the volume of this section right here. The first thing I'm going to do is actually just select it, and then I'm going to use this little volume bar that appears when I do that to actually increase our decibels. So here's my selected area. Now I'm just going to go up here and then increase this by about 2 decibels or so. And when I do that, you can see the waveforms grow a little bit. I maybe want to bump them up a little bit more by another 4 decibels. And now they're looking better. I can go ahead and listen to that by pressing play or the spacebar. To apply a process or an effect to the entire waveform in our audio file, all we have to do is double click within this area to select everything. I want to make everything in my audio file louder. It sounds good right now, but it could use a little bit more presence. So with everything selected, I'm going to go up to Process on the menu bar and then down to, you guessed it, Make Louder. That will increase our peaks, and now we have a little bit more oomph behind our waveforms here. Now that we've created our audio file, we need to get back to our multi-track area. So to do that, we're just going to go over in this Files area and double click Untitled Multitrack 1. That'll bring us back to our multi-track view, and obviously we see that our waveform didn't automatically appear in this blank track. We actually have to click and drag it in there. So I'll just go over here in the Files area and click and drag it right in there. And now I can move it around by clicking and dragging on its title bar, bring it up to the front. And let's say I also wanted to create a little bit of a fade in at the beginning. To do that, I just click and drag on one of the fade in handles like so. And then I also want to rename this track as well. So I'll just click where it says Audio 1 and call it VO. That'll be our voiceover track. Now that we've actually added something to our multi-track area, we can give it a name. So to do that, we're just going to go up to File and down to Save As. So in the Save As dialog box, we're just going to go ahead and give it a name.